So here we are again with Nancy Blanning. Nancy, thank you for being with us. So in Waldorf education, we learned that there are 3 virtues or principles that are pillars. We as teachers learn about that. And in the first 7 years, it's the pillar of goodness.
Yes.
And then the second 7 years, it's beauty. And then the third is truth. And if we're looking at the development from birth to age 21,
Correct.
those are the 3 principles or virtues. And I wonder if you could focus in on the first 7 years and this goodness and how we as teachers, parents, caregivers can understand that a little bit and help create that space.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, this is such a huge topic, a huge concern and consideration for our times, definitely. In early childhood, and so this is the experience that I had as many years as an early childhood educator, and the pleasure I have of visiting classrooms, of visiting Holly's classroom this morning. We want the child to feel secure in the world. That's one of the most important things. We need a sense of security, because with that security, when we know that our needs are going to be cared for, that we will be fed, we will be clothed, we will be warm, we will have all of those things. Of course, those are the first basic necessities. But then we also know that we will have attentive care from other people. We will feel their attention. We will feel the warmth of interest that they have in us, that encourage us in our lives. And knowing that being alive is a good thing. It's a good thing. And we're happy. We're happy that we will be here. So in the home, in these first years, there's such a great emphasis upon respectful and very intentional and warm, interested caregiving, which doesn't mean hovering. It doesn't mean having to interact with our children every single minute. It does mean in the moments when we are interacting, so we're caretaking with diapering, changing, feeding, all of those things, transition times, getting ready for rest, that there is a sense of intentional calm and warmth that always imbues, always always envelops those moments. And so they become very special. And I don't want to be too highfalutin, but actually kind of sacred moments of interaction between caregiver and child. And that gives the child such confidence that whatever might happen later on, that they know that that baseline is there for them. And so in the first 3 years, there's so much of that. Now, one other thing then is that children in these first years learn through imitation. They don't understand in any cognitive or intellectual way what's going on. They just experience and they just watch what's happening, and then they imitate what they see the others around them do. So I know we've all had experiences of doing something and then our children kind of echoing that back to us. And sometimes it can be just so delightful. It's so sweet and so delicious to see the child in their tiny little way imitating what the adults have done. It can also come back to us if someone has said an inappropriate college vocabulary word that we have tried very hard to eradicate from our mouths, but in moments of frustration, those words might come out.
They do come out sometimes.
They do come out sometimes, and we hear it echoed back to ourselves, much to our chagrin and embarrassment. So, and research, this is so interesting. About 20 years ago, something called mirror neurons were discovered, that they're a special part of the nervous system that when we see an activity, we start to imitate that activity in our nervous system inside ourselves. We don't do anything, it just happens. Now, we could say children imitate, because we have a nervous system like that. And I want to use Waldorf upside downness to say, human beings are gifted in their first experiences of learning by imitating, and there has to be some physical mechanism in our being through which this imitation can happen. So that's why God created mirror neurons, something like that. So this is going on all the time. And when we're talking about goodness, and this is what we think about, we want our homes to be full of goodness. We want our classrooms to be full of goodness, in that what we do is purposeful, it makes sense, it's not aimless and erratic, it has sequence to it that the children can then trust upon, and knowing that when we get to school, we hang our coat here, our shoes go in the cubby, we put our inside shoes on, we wash our hands, and then we are greeted. Whatever those routines might be, it gives the child a sense of security of, I can trust this. I can trust what's happening. And I know that when on my own, all of those good habit patterns will be growing inside me so that I can know how to do things in life. I can know how to eat. I can know how to take my plate from the table and take it to the sink, all of those different things. And I'm saying, I think all those things help to build goodness, because they are given to the children not as impositions, but as benevolent guidance. Now, they need to see goodness. They need to see that the interactions among the adults who surround them are full of goodness. They are respectful, they're kind, there is warmness and generosity, there's tolerance, there's laughter, there is forgiveness, all of those things that happen every day. We all have moments of each one of those things every single day, and some days are really full of rocky moments. But we still carry the intention to return to redeem some of what's happened, maybe that was unexpected or unkind or impulsive, to say, I'm so sorry that happened. That was not so much fun for all of us, and we'll try very hard that we'll do better next time. Whatever that happens, that those things exude goodness. We can tell stories about goodness, and that's one of the things in the Waldorf classrooms all the way through. We talk about stories of goodness, of people caring for each other, of being generous with each other, for the older children, older kindergarten children in the first grade, all the way through the primary grades, up through third grade, of people making actual sacrifices for each other, sometimes in huge ways, sometimes in very small ways, all of which show that that are caring for one another and are wanting to live together kindly shows goodness. One thing that Rudolf Steiner said, he says, seeing and experiencing these exchanges, which portray goodness, portray beauty, portray truthfulness, go in very deeply, rather than preaching or moralizing. And that moralizing to children just falls flat. And I have to say, to be honest, as our adults, when I'm at the group talking about these things, I say, if you like to be lectured to, please raise your hand. And that helps us to remember that we don't like that either. We like to see it done. We like to experience it, not to have it preached to us. Beauty Oh my goodness. Beauty is, we know, okay, I want to back up a second. We know there's a lot of not good things happening in the world. And someone could say, how can you possibly preach goodness? Look at the mess and the discord and the violence and the aggression and all the things that surround us worldwide. What do you mean goodness? And out of the examples of what the young children are seeing, and we hope that they will see all the way through their education, is that they will see goodness being created between individual human beings. That the goodness is what we make of our lives ourselves, not looking for something external, but we make things good. If you know of Mr. Rogers, he would say, look for the helpers. Mm-hmm. And that was another way of saying there is goodness and there are helpers who will help us create and remind ourselves that there is goodness and create goodness that we share with others. There are a lot of things in the world that are not beautiful. And so where do we see beauty? And we can see it in beautiful paintings and artworks, but we can see beauty in the unfolding of a bud that becomes a beautiful flower. We can look at a sunflower that's fully developed and see the beautiful pattern, the incredible pattern of the sunflower seeds that are absolutely perfect in their design in a kind of a geometric mathematical progression. We can look, I drove up here to Carbondale yesterday, and it's in the autumn, and the gold of the leaves is indescribably beautiful. It's so elevating to the soul to be able to look to that and say, the gas smell I'm smelling coming from the diesel truck ahead of me is not my favorite. I know that the world is threatened by our lack of understanding and care for the earth and the environment. But my heart is lifted, and I have confidence and I have reassurance that the intention of this world is to share beauty. And if we just open our eyes to seeing things, it's there. And to me, that communicates that there are higher ideals and higher intentions surrounding us in the cosmos than some of the more sorry things that we see that we've manifested ourselves. And we want to share with the students this constant reassurance that there is beauty and that they can create beauty. And so all of the artistic curriculum that fills is not to create artists, but to people. We can create beauty in colors, in drawings, even if we're not an artist. Through singing, we can sing together. And how many times have we heard of even saying in the dark days of enslavement in this country, those enslaved peoples working in the fields sang, and they lifted their hearts and they created beauty in that music under the most awful circumstances. I was hearing just in the other room before we began this conversation, the orchestra performing or practicing, and from the initial squeakings to then joining together to create something that was beautiful, that was nourishing for the hearing, that was nourishing for the soul and for the spirit. That's why we say there is beauty, and we want to help the children not only experience it, but to know that they can participate in the creation of beauty. Even setting a table, a very humble table with one flower or even a dandelion on the table that the child has brought in, is creating a moment, a spark of beauty. And we want that to be a gift that the children had. And then truthfulness. We know if we have adolescents, boy, do they want to know the truth. They want to know the truth of us. They want to know that what they're being told is true. They want to have evidence that things are validated as truthful, not just prattle, not just propaganda, not just moralizing. They need to know that that they can trust, that what we say, what we say that we live by, are really grounded on things that are not only true, but they're true having come through this progression of goodness and beauty, that the truth of what they learn also can be beautiful in itself and can communicate an intention for goodness. And so it's through this whole preparation of what the students have gone through that has this culmination of them being able to recognize truth, to think truth, to honor truth, and want to create truth and do truthful deeds into the world that will make the world a better place. And so it's quite a vast panorama, and one cultivates the space for the development of the next. Things are beautiful in the kindergarten also because, are good because they're also beautiful and they're true. Things are beautiful because they are also good and they're truthful in how they're manifested. Things are truthful because they also contain goodness and beauty. And so while it can sometimes become kind of sloganish, goodness, beauty, and truth, the ground on which those things stand, and out of which, the intention out of which those things have grown as, if you would, mottos or declaration of qualities, as guideposts for how we live our human life, I think are profound. And I'm so glad for myself and for my own family, my own children, my grandchildren, all the children who have people caring for them, who also are committed to sharing the real substance of goodness, beauty, and truth. That's a real gift to the world.
And thank you for sharing your goodness and beauty and truth with us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.